Welcome to another episode of Triadvisors. I'm your host, Rob Vary. Let's get right down to it. So here's how I'm going to kind of do it this week. So today and tomorrow, that's Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to do advice on running a round of triads. And on Thursday and Friday, I'm going to do advice on being in a triad. That's just for this week. It's going to change up next week probably, especially if we get submissions of advice. Alright, so I'm going to drop three kind of areas of advice here. So you can use the table of contents over here and click on it as soon as you let the entire video buffer, and it'll go to that time spot where I'm talking about that specific topic. So my three topics are about being present, about having your voice heard, and about getting volunteers. So either you can let me just go on and start with the first thing, or you can click any one of these to proceed. Alright, let's talk about being present. So a very crucial thing in running any round of triads, if you want it to be a success, is that you, as a running member of the triads, are present at any meeting, in any thread, in any wiki page, in any type of messaging format, email, anything like that. You are present in the conversation. It's very important that every decision is made with at least more than 2 or 3 members having a voice and talking about it. Because a lot of times, if you don't do that, then the triads that you're trying to run will see that there's disarray and there's problems going on. I mean, they might not have any idea what the hell is happening. So what you need to do is make sure that at least a bunch of you are in agreement. There might be a core group of you that are running it, that's okay, but as long as it's not just one person making the decisions and just doing things. So essentially, if you want to sort of post any public talks about anything, make sure that you are not the only person who decided to do that. Okay, now about having your voice heard. This sort of goes with being present. The main thing I want to stress here is that when you're present, if you have a disagreement, you need to tell the people that are running it with you that you disagree with how this is going, and you have a specific reason why. You need context to what you're saying, and you need good evidence to support that what you're saying matters. So essentially, the main part, I know I say essentially a lot, but the main part is that do not be afraid to say that you don't think what's happening is best. Make sure you voice what you're saying eloquently, and so that people understand you. And the other thing is, do it privately. If you're having sort of disagreements within the people running it, if you make it public, like if you make a thread, or if you make a video, something about it, the people that you're trying to be in charge of will think, oh, they can't even keep it together, why should we even bother? So you really don't want that. So any sort of things like that, sort of airing the dirty laundry, keep it private. Don't let everyone know about it, and you can hopefully get it sorted out before anything sort of really negative happens. Alright, final thing, let's talk about getting volunteers. So there are several ways you can sort of get volunteers to participate in the groups of triads that you're hoping to create. Now, with getting volunteers, sometimes people might jump the gun, sometimes people might wait way too long to do it. The main thing is, you need to discuss, as a collective, or as however you've split up the mentoring, to decide the best way to get the volunteers. And the main thing is, you might not actually figure out the best way literally, but if you can agree on a way to do it that you think would be best, do it that way. And the main thing is, if you're one person in this whole group of people running it, and you, let's say, create a thread, or create a video, or create a wiki page to get volunteers, but maybe some people didn't think that was the best way to do it right away, that could cause a problem. On the other hand, if you're saying, well, we have to discuss this, let's figure it out, let's talk about it first, and then that's taking too long, that could also be a problem, because you don't want to wait too long to get volunteers. Another part of it is the time frame in which you're letting people volunteer. You need to make sure you set that up and follow it rigidly. That is, if you say that we're starting on June 1st and we're ending on June 10th, then that means if somebody comes in and volunteers on June 11th, no go. They can't come in, they can't volunteer, they have to wait till the next round. Now, the best thing to do with that is to say, it's done on June 10th at 5 p.m. Central Time. You do that, then you have a specific time. If somebody comes in at 5:01 p.m. Central Time, that's it. They can't volunteer. They have to wait till the next time. Make sure you stick to the time frame. Another thing is, I just wanted to throw this out there. There were issues with, as we know, with time zones, with meeting times, with age differences, with gender differences. Maybe not issues, but those things occurred, and it depends on how you as a collective feel about it. So, personally, the age and gender thing, that shouldn't really matter. We should all be pretty comfortable with each other. I don't think there are any creeps around in our tribes here, but that's just my tribe. In your tribe, it could be different. So, maybe you want to do maybe a form, send it to a private Google Doc page, and they could enter, their forum name, their display name, their age, their gender, their email, their time zone. Another thing you want to keep in mind is there was an issue with active members, and what happened was a lot of people came in and volunteered, and that was the only time we ever saw them functioning in the tribe at all. So what I suggest you do is figure out a way to decide whether or not a person is active enough to be in a triad. Because the last thing you want is to set up 20 triads and find out 15 triads each have an inactive member, someone who doesn't know they're in a triad, forget they volunteered, and all that kind of crazy stuff. So what I suggest you doing is what I've seen some other people do when they run a project: PM or email the people that are volunteering and say in that message, if you do not reply by this time, you are not you're no longer a volunteer. Now the other thing, the final thing with getting volunteers is deciding how many volunteers you're going to take. Either are you going to take the first amount of people we're going to need to split it up, like are you going to take the first 63? Are you going to take all the people that volunteer up to a certain date? Are you going to wait to get 20% more volunteers than you need? How are you going to do it? And you have to say that beforehand. You have to say that before you even start getting volunteers. Just keep all that stuff in mind. And, of course, go back to the video, look at the different things I've said. And, again, this is my advice, my personal suggestions as to what to do and what I've seen so far. Alright, so thank you for watching. And remember, if at first you don't succeed, try it again.